India has just conducted historic military airstrikes inside Pakistan against military targets and before that on terror targets. The two countries have come to a ceasefire understanding, a very tentative understanding for now, but the two countries also remain in a state of maximum war alert and operational readiness. What's happening inside the system? Today we have a very special guest who's joined us, who's also come out with a brand new book, General NC Vij, Alone in the Ring, Decision-Making in Critical Times. And I cannot think of a more appropriate guest to discuss the very complex and evolving issue at hand that faces the country at this time. General NC Vij, an honor to have you here, sir. First of all, congratulations on your new book. Alone in the Ring actually describes how India, the leadership, and the decision-making process right now must actually be taking these momentous military decisions against Pakistan. And in this book, you've actually talked about being in the hot seat yourself. I'd like to start by asking you about your reading of the current situation, and then we will come to the things that you've done, sir.
See, Shiv, in many ways, I think this book has turned out to be prophetic because I have in this book written that our Western neighbors are so incorrigible and so untrustworthy that you really cannot say anything about them for sure. And despite all the efforts by India to maintain peace, they have been indulging into the terrorism promoted by the state.
Yeah.
And that's what this book is all about, because it's mainly about the last 6 years of my service experience gained in that. And during that period, Kargil happened, Prakram happened, and many other things happened. So this is something which I always felt would happen, because while talking to Pakistani counterpart of mine, General Tokizia, you could make out that telling lies is a part of their very ethos and ecosystem.
I want to touch upon that for just a moment, because, you know, right now, General Vij, we are looking at the DGMO hotline conversations happening between the two sides. You've been the DGMO during the last war we fought with Pakistan. During the Kargil war, you were decorated with an Uttam Yudh Seva medal, if I'm not mistaken, for your role during that time as well. Tell us about these conversations. Right now, you're saying that the DGMO conversations, you cannot trust what they're saying. Does that hold even now? You cannot trust what they're saying?
So if I can say, you know, once I asked my counterpart, okay, I said, look, where have you been during the last week? You missed out the discussion, and your number two with the General Kiani, he came on the line. He said, look, ऐसा है जनरल साहब, हमारे बच्चे आ गए थे तो उनकी तफरी में हम बिजी हो गए. तो मैं कहा, बच्चे तो आपके हमारे पास आए हुए, तो आप क्यों फिक्र कर रहे हैं? Leave it to us, we'll take care of them. So, you know, this is the problem with them. And once I told him that, look, after point 5140 was captured, that we have found lots of maps and all that which are duly marked, and even their identities. So all that he could reply was AMAK. AMAK means stooge, or stupid. So that's what the problem with them is. They will not speak the truth.
And would you say that right now, you know, of course, our military setup knows how to take care of things. It's a professional setup.
Sure they do.
Like, you know, like you were part of it as well, so you know that better, sir. But right now, you know, India has agreed to this ceasefire understanding. It's not a ceasefire, it's an understanding, which we should be specific about. What kind of alertness levels would there be in the country right now? We would still be war ready even right now, just a few days after that understanding. Am I right?
Yes, I think with our past experience and now what has happened, and with no certainty of how would they react in future, the war readiness would be maintained. It will be maintained at all times now, at least for quite some time, till the time we are sure as to what line are they going to adopt.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister has made it very clear as to what does he expect from them. Then any state act of terrorism from them would be taken as an act of war. If after that also they indulge into this, then there will be problem for them. And so level of alertness would be maintained at the top level. especially along the ceasefire line, one is not very sure as to how would they act.
What is your overall assessment of how the military operation was carried out, sir? The most visible aspect of it, of course, was the Air Force, but we do know that the land forces along the line of control, and you played a very big role in, the line of control as we know it today. The fencing system happened under your watch as well. I was there in Kupwara and Uri just a few weeks ago, reporting from the front lines as well. What is your assessment as a person who has been a commander of the forces about what Operation Sindoor has really achieved? Because it is being described as the most kinetic and most maybe audacious non-war military action that has ever been taken against Pakistan.
I think I'll then again quote the Prime Minister and pick up from there and take it in the reverse order. Firstly, all along we've been worried about the nuclear responses, and even our anti-terror operations were restricted to quite some extent. And similarly, in Kargil war also, you see, we didn't cross the line of control. We have attacked the same objective, which perhaps we militarily not very sound, but that was the restriction imposed. So now the PM has said that, look, your nuclear bluff is off. We will not accept. We will not take it as a serious thing. We've upgraded our response to them many fold, threefold, fourfold, and attacked 9 targets and gone into Punjab. So which we have never done earlier.
Yes.
So they now know that we will go to any extent to make sure that our national integrity is taken care of and safeguarded. That is one. Number two, all the 3 forces were involved.
Yes.
The Navy was also involved. They blocked the Karachi port in its own way. And the land forces, of course, were very alert along the line of control. And Air Force went in and the missiles were fired. And nowadays you have a weapon system where of the system, you can fire from 200 kilometers.
Yeah.
So all kinds of things have been done, and they've been told that we will not now hesitate to go to any extent to make sure that they are put into a great difficulty. As it is, this country is economically totally broke, and they're taking loans to pay off their own debt.
Correct.
So they have to learn sometime. The problem in Pakistan is, perhaps, I cannot say for sure, because like when Kargil happened, the then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif said, look, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So I do not know how much the present
Who
Prime
to believe.
Who to believe.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and even the Secretary of Defense,
the Defense Minister,
Khwaja
Asif.
Yeah. He's made all kinds of statements. The
Ridiculous
American Mark Rubio called the chief and talked to him, which is very unusual. So what kind of a country are we dealing with now? We've come to know very well as to who's the controlling authority. And he's a jihadi general anyway. This is what you people also call.
No, it's true, it's true. I mean, and we have no qualms in labeling him that. If people saw General Asim Munir's speech just a few weeks before the Pahalgam attacks happened, many people say that, it was the kind of atmosphere that he had created that may have led to it. But
Maybe he set the stage for that.
Absolutely right. General Vij, you were the Director General Military Operations during Kargil. You were India's Chief of the Army Staff between 2003 and 2005. You have seen Kargil, you have seen Parakram, which was the last time the two countries almost came to a full-fledged war as well. I want to ask you, all these 2 decades later, is war an option? Many things have changed in the region. Many things have changed for India. India has left Pakistan far behind in the most exponential way, whether it is economy, whether it is achievements, whether it is regional power, whether it is international standing. Is war an option at this point of time? The reason I ask this question is because it seemed like India was fully prepared to finish the job this time.
Yes, I think so. The way they went about it. And if the Pakistanis had not come back to us asking for a talk between the 2 DGMOs, I think we would have gone to any extent. To my assessment, I don't know. I have not talked to any one of them to take care of it. But since you asked me the question, is war an option? If you ask a soldier, I don't think war is an option. Though it is our job to fight, and they will very well fight. And they would be perhaps itching to fight at times. But war never solves much. Ultimately, you have got to get to the negotiating table. But to bring the other man to his senses and understanding, level of understanding, as Napoleon said, if you put the gun on the other's head, his rationale gets much improved and becomes far more sensible to talk to. So war is an option to bring the other man to a reasonable level of understanding,
right,
and to get talking more sense.
And that is perhaps why India also, from a position of power, agreed to this understanding, where Pakistan, from a position of being completely battered with these airstrikes, which had seriously compromised their air defense capability and their fighter force, had practically pleaded for this ceasefire, and India agreed. And I share your assessment on that. I want to talk about the idea of POK. POK is an issue that is very emotive for all of us Indians. It is a manifesto promise by political parties in the country, some political parties in the country. I'm sure the Indian Army has always had, plans. If push comes to shove, there would, I'm sure, be plans somewhere about how India can achieve this huge military objective of taking POK back. And I say this with caution because I understand that it's not something that can simply happen, with the blink of an eye. But is that ever going to be a possibility, sir? Bringing POK back?
Well, as you said, I'm sure there are some plans, must be, and but I really can't talk much about them. But if the government so desires, if the country so desires, well, why not? If you can do Kargil, perhaps you can do that also.
Very interestingly put, because in Alone in the Ring, which is decision making in critical times, one cannot think of a time more critical than this. A red line was crossed in the post-Pahalgam period, General Vij, and it seems like everything has changed since then. You mentioned the nuclear umbrella bluff that India has called. The Prime Minister enunciated it. He said, no longer will India, respond to nuclear blackmail, allowing terror to flourish in its shadow. 2, terror attacks will be interpreted as an act of war, which means that when a terror attack takes place, we will not respond by hitting terror camps, but we will not distinguish between military and terror targets. And number 3, a retaliation is assured, no matter what scale the terror attack is. Given all this, and some people are calling this the Modi doctrine. He talked about this at the Adampur Air Base as well. I want to ask you, will this deter Pakistan? Deterrence is another word that is of great value in the military. It is not just about punishing or imposing punitive actions on Pakistan, which India has undoubtedly done. The bigger, more complex question is, have we taught them a lesson enough not to try anything like this again?
Well, really, I can't be that prophetic.
Yeah.
Because very difficult. That country has its own mechanism of working. The dynamics of working is entirely different to a normal country. Like in India, things will happen far more differently. How will it happen in their country? Who's controlling whom? That is the problem.
Yeah.
If the political leadership is controlling, maybe they will. If the army is controlling, maybe there's a problem because the army has to retain its relevance. And that has been a problem right through, that the army must remain the predominant figure. So I wonder whether it will deter, but it should, to any sensible person, it should deter because we are a far stronger country, far more stronger country, and we have shown the world that we are very reasonable. Because if you recall the first briefing, which was given by the Foreign Secretary and the 2
lady officers,
who did a very good job. It was, spoken in words like, these are absolutely proportionate. We have only gone after the terrorist targets.
Yeah. Equal domain.
So, we have our part made the things very clear. That look, we are doing it only against terrorism. We have nothing against you as a country. And we don't want to escalate. They escalated.
Yes.
By killing 20 people and then going on the criminal lines. That is the worst of all. It has never happened before. So, how much will they remain reasonable and rational and understanding? What are their internal compulsions? And in any case, in Pakistan, to remain as a state together, I think Kashmir has been a weapon to unite the country. So, it's very difficult to understand their mechanics of functioning.
I am very tempted to say that this is more than prophetic because in some ways for India to have done what it did just now and perhaps do what it is prepared to do going forward. With the the International Monetary Fund giving $1 billion to Pakistan in the wake of Pahalgam, the IAEA not saying anything about Pakistan nukes, United Nations, my personal view is that it's an utterly useless organization when it comes to India and Pakistan. The defense minister today has pointed a finger at both the IMF and yesterday at the IAEA as well. It seems like these are global organizations, but we are alone in the ring for our objectives for large parts, sir.
Yeah, this is a very big thing now between India and Pakistan. Even when I go back to my own time when I was in service, we had sent troops to Sierra Leone.
Yes.
And if you recall, we had 220 people, our peacekeepers taken as hostage.
Correct.
Even nobody was prepared to help you. I was as a DGMO, I took a delegation to UK, US and UN. And came back fully convinced that nobody is going to help you. They are not even empathizing with you. We sent our own troops.
Yes.
And carried out a beautiful operation 10,000 kilometers away.
Absolutely.
And helped ourselves. So India has to fend for itself. There is no doubt about it. And we are in a position to do it. And we have a national leadership which is very, very strong.
Yeah.
And the way we have put across our view and the way we have acted. A warning was given. And we have told them now not to cross the line.
Yeah.
So that line really has been drawn.
Yes.
Now, how do we move further from here, Shiv? This is left to their better wisdom.
And we trust our forces completely. Like you said, there has been political clarity in terms of what India's objectives are. And therefore, General Vij, for not only being prophetic with the title of your new book, which we congratulate you about, but also, being so candid with us on a sensitive issue that requires a great deal of understanding, a domain where fierce views one way or the other usually don't work because there are so many shades of grey in warfare. I thank you very much, sir, for giving us your time here on NDTV.
And I think our government has been so clear about what we intend. And that is, I think, a very big plus point of Sindoor. We've conveyed our message to the world, to Pakistanis and to the world very clearly as to how much can we tolerate.
And hopefully we will have more clarity in the days to come. Thank you, General Vij. An honor to speak to you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure talking. Thank you.